China blasting the United States after President Biden announced a new investigation into the origins of the coronavirus.
Now, China's foreign ministry calling the investigation a, quote, conspiracy and saying that Beijing has been nothing but forthcoming and transparent throughout this entire process. For more on this, we'll bring in Newsmax White House correspondent Emerald Robinson joining us live now with the latest on this investigation. China blasting this investigation as a, quote, conspiracy. Emerald.
Yeah, the Chinese embassy also yesterday accused the U.S. of politicizing the origins of the coronavirus. Look, it appears that China was about as caught off guard as the White House press corps yesterday, however, gathering themselves today and continue to criticize, as you said, this investigation, calling it conspiracy. Also, what we're seeing from China, Sean, is that as they did last year, they continue to suggest that the coronavirus possibly did not originate in China. In fact, as a part of their response, they're saying that they support a comprehensive study that would include laboratories worldwide and suggest that every country needs to be transparent in this process. Now, that's clearly the same kind of deflection tactics we've seen from China, suggesting at one point that the U.S. military brought the virus to China. Now, as you said, the president has ordered a 90-day review. It was a surprising announcement made by the Deputy Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, during her debut at the podium yesterday during the briefing.
Today, the president asked the intelligence community to redouble their efforts to collect and analyze information that could bring us closer to a definitive conclusion and to a report back to him in 90 days.
Up to this point, Joe Biden hadn't been outspoken about his thoughts about the origin of the virus, and his administration continues, specifically Dr. Fauci, continued to suggest that it had to occur in nature and that the lab leak theory was very unlikely. But over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a growing number of even Biden officials suggest that this lab leak theory holds credibility and that it should indeed be looked at. However, the administration has continued to say over the last few days that they are going to rely on the WHO. And even though Karine Jean-Pierre made that announcement yesterday, she suggested that the U.S. would continue to work with the World Health Organization on an investigation into the origins. The World Health Organization now suggesting that that investigation that delivered a report in March was just phase one. They say they're going to announce more measures in the coming weeks. But Karine Jean-Pierre was also asked, how can the U.S. trust China to be transparent or to participate? She had a simple answer. She said you'd have to ask the Chinese government that. Now, speaking of asking questions, Jen Psaki was the one who had consistently deferred to the WHO. She wasn't at the podium yesterday when the administration did this 180 about face, but she will gaggle or talk to reporters in layman's terms today on Air Force One as the president travels to Cleveland, Ohio. And one would suspect that she shortly will be asked about her previous statements and how they contradict what Biden announced yesterday, Sean.
Absolutely, and holding them accountable on that. It seems like a complete 180 turn on the positioning on this investigation with COVID and the origins of it specifically there. Emerald Robinson, are you going to be on Air Force One?
Nope. I'll be right here on the North Lawn for the rest of the day.
Holding down the fort. All right.
I wish I was, though, so I could ask her myself.
Look, I think I say it for a lot of people, too. We all want to hear you ask these questions here. Emerald Robinson, though, doing due diligence there for the White House. Thank you so much.
For reaction, we want to welcome in Iowa Senator Joni Ernst joining us live. Senator, thank you for being here this morning.
Of course, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Now, you've been sounding the alarm for more than a year about this Wuhan lab. Yesterday, you successfully brought forth an amendment to the Endless Frontiers Act. Now, this amendment would essentially ban any additional U.S. tax dollars to be funneled into that Wuhan Institute of Virology. Why did you feel it was so important to include this in the legislation?
Well, this is very important because we have had taxpayer dollars going to fund research, unknown research, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. This was done through a grant process through the NIH, of which Dr. Fauci was a participant, and it was funneled to a nonprofit organization that then went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology using American taxpayer dollars. We don't expect that our tax dollars will go to communist Red China to fund research, potentially research that could be very harmful to all Americans, and in this case, possibly harmful to all of the globe. So it's important that we end those dollars going to China, and that's exactly what this amendment did. And surprisingly and thankfully, it was unanimous.
Yeah, you don't often see bipartisan support on issues. This was clearly an issue that both Democrats and Republicans could agree on. Want to talk to you about some remarks we heard just the other day from Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy talking to Dr. Fauci again about that funding to the Wuhan lab, the connections there. Here's what he said on Wednesday. Take a look.
So they didn't consult with y'all?
They did not.
Did they consult with you, Dr. Collins?
I read about it in the press this morning.
Doc? They just spiked it without talking to their experts? You don't want to answer that one, do you?
I just read about it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So that exchange specifically about the Biden administration, the report that the Biden administration had shut down any investigation into the origins of COVID that started during the previous Trump administration here. What do you make of that exchange that just played out?
Well, it is concerning because, again, when we look at our American taxpayer dollars, we want to know that they're going to research and development that will be beneficial to the American people. And certainly, Dr. Fauci was heading an organization that was providing funding that went into Red China. Again, very, very alarming when we are trying to push back against Chinese influence all around the globe and certainly strengthen our own American institutions. So for Dr. Fauci to plead ignorance on this issue, it's laughable. There was $600,000 that was funneled to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We know that. I raised the alarm bells about this over a year ago. It is finally now we have our Democratic colleagues, the Biden administration, coming on board and understanding there may be more to this Wuhan Institute than originally thought by folks on the left. But again, we have been sounding the alarm. We know that we should not be funding these types of projects, especially with American taxpayer dollars.
Is it time for Dr. Fauci to step down from his public role?
Well, I can't determine that, but what I can tell you, in my own opinion, is that he has become very politically polarizing, and so that's not a good person necessarily to lead these types of institutions. You do need someone with a level of credibility, with a scientific background, the research and development background necessary, but they should be apolitical, and we don't see that in this person with Dr. Fauci.
We've heard, again, recently President Biden now directing U.S. intel community to redouble their efforts into the investigation, calling for 90 days to investigate. Yesterday, the deputy press secretary expressed that the White House would also be working with the WHO during this investigation. However, listen to this.
Making sure that we are getting the data, right, from China, right, making sure that we're getting more information so we can, you know, it's hard to prejudge these things, right? It's hard to make pronouncements of something when you don't have all the information that you need. So this is going to take some time. This is going to continue to work with the WHO as well. These are not mutually exclusive. These are happening at the same time. So it's going to take more collaboration and more conversations as well.
Senator, can we trust the WHO at this point?
No, absolutely not. So yes, WHO can provide some valuable information, but fact of the matter is that we need independent investigators looking into this issue. They have had their opportunity, for heaven's sakes, when the pandemic was breaking out. They should have been in China, thoroughly investigating where this pandemic started, how it came about, and how we could contain it to stop it. It has killed millions and millions of people around this globe. WHO, it's a little too late. Let's get some independent investigators in there. Let's force China to come to the table and provide the information that's necessary to get to the bottom of this. If we don't, we could see another pandemic. Who knows? We don't know that unless we have independent information corroborating what has happened, understanding what has happened. So let's get some investigators in there, but they can't be part of the WHO.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for answering those questions there. I did want to end our conversation on a bit of a lighter note. Of course, this weekend being Memorial Day weekend, you having served yourself, how are you celebrating and of course, honoring those who have served?
Certainly. So it is a day of remembrance. I want Americans to know and understand that. We are honoring those veterans who have passed, those in the line of duty, those that have passed since serving. So I will spend the day erecting flags in Montgomery County, in Red Oak, in my hometown, with the Montgomery County Memorial Court of Honor. It's an annual tradition. You'll see thousands of flags around the cemetery as we honor those that have passed.
Absolutely. All right, that's Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa joining us here on National Report. Senator, thank you so much.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.